This time, mold led to total destruction. What started as a problem turned into a fight for life. The basement became a breeding ground for organisms capable of slowly destroying you. We stopped the process and gave the home a breath of fresh air. The Squid Game has begun. At first glance, the basement doesn't look bad. The only things that raise concern are a strange, unpleasant smell and stains on the walls and baseboards. The homeowner thought it was nothing serious and washed the dark spots with bleach. But that was only the tip of the iceberg. The real danger was hidden inside. The first thing we do is isolate the basement from the rest of the house with a temporary plastic wall and a zippered door. This is a critical step that prevents mold spores and mycotoxins from spreading throughout the home. Just as important is this plastic setup on the window. This is where we create negative pressure in the basement. Negative pressure means the air pressure inside the basement is lower than outside. Because of that, more air flows into the basement than out of it. Contaminated air, mold spores, and particles are pulled inward and exhausted outside through the filtration system instead of spreading through the house. We always use a protective suit, a respirator, and gloves before starting work. The first thing to go is the carpet. I'll never stop saying this. Carpet is one of the worst flooring choices for a home, especially for a basement. It traps dust, absorbs odors, and holds moisture. The baseboards and the areas behind them are contaminated with mold. We make the decision to remove the drywall. At this point, it's already clear that the problem is inside the walls. In a situation like this, there's no point in making small test cuts. And there it is. Inside, there's a disgusting stench. Mold on the drywall, mold on the wood, and wet, foul-smelling insulation. In cases like this, the best decision is a full demolition. These 2x4 studs are also covered in mold, so we remove even more material. And now it's clear that this was absolutely the right call. I want to remove this corner and cut the bottom of the wall to make sure everything is okay. If you look between the window frame and the wall, you can actually see outside. There's a gap there. So I cut into the wall, and once again, there's mold. That tells me the situation in the next room is likely the same. Because of that, we remove the baseboards. They're going straight to the trash. And now everything looks black. But black mold is not a species name. It's like saying a black car. One color, many different brands. The real danger isn't the color. It's which type of mold it is and how much of it there is. To understand the actual risk, you don't look at it. You identify it in a laboratory. Inside the electrical outlet, everything is rusted. That means there was moisture there. And that means we can confidently remove this wall. From the outside, it looks a bit damp and dirty, which makes it very likely that inside there's an entire ecosystem of dangerous processes at work. You might hear that mold doesn't live in insulation. Maybe, but mycotoxins and spores are there with 100% certainty. That's why any old insulation that had contact with mold is always removed and discarded. In short, in this room we do a full wall demolition. The concrete block walls are treated with specialized solutions and then dried using fans and a dehumidifier. And now we move on to the next room. Here, we also remove the old carpet. We simply cut it into pieces and pack it into trash bags. In this room, all the baseboards are rotten as well, so of course they have to go. At first glance, it looks a bit better, but inside it's the same story. High moisture and, as a result, mold. The only correct solution is a full demolition. We use this big, rough tool because we already know this will be a full demolition. But if we need to remove baseboards carefully and keep the wall intact, we work very differently. In that case, we take a more precise, almost surgical approach and use a different tool. And this bar has to go. Total destruction. No mercy. You might call us barbarians. Fine, but this bar would only harm the homeowner. And now I'll show you why. But first, I cut the countertop and carefully take it apart, piece by piece. Inside the bar, I found a small bottle of vodka. It smells like vodka. We'll celebrate the victory later. Now I smash the frame with a sledgehammer. A few solid hits, and I end up with a pile of perfectly good firewood. Many of the components are covered in mold. This is MDF, and it's almost impossible to clean properly. Only a full demolition makes sense here. All elements damaged by mold are packed into trash bags and sealed tightly with tape. Now I can remove the remaining drywall that was behind the bar. Cuts should always be straight. That makes the future repair much easier. A few light hits with a hammer, and I'm free. This piece is covered in mold, so I simply break it off and throw it away. This section, however, can't be removed. So here I use a specialized solution and then scrub it with a metal brush. After that, all dust and debris are collected with a vacuum cleaner. Now I use a fogger. It creates a special mist that helps neutralize mold spores and bind mycotoxins. Those particles then settle and are captured by the air scrubber's filter. Next, using a regular mop, I collect dust from the ceiling, then from the walls, and in fact from all surfaces. The final stage is vacuuming the floor. After remediation is complete, the entire work area must be completely dust-free. The confirmation that the job was done correctly is the air test results.